Welcome to my smartphone of the year video. It's the last day of the year 2021 and we want to talk about my personal smartphones of the year 2021. Smartphones that I tested or smartphones that I had in my hand and that I evaluated based upon my experience. So if your favorite smartphone is not among the list, this simply has something to do with I did not get my hands on it or I did not really like to test it. But it might be still a good smartphone for you. So here's my smartphones or best smartphones of the year 2021. So let's get started. So we want to kick off things with a relatively new category, best foldable smartphone of the year. Last year, it was definitely the Mate XS that I used extensively also for vlogging. This is really a gorgeous device, still running very nicely without any issues and hiccups. And I got rid of the default screen protector. Now I have like a half screen protector on it. You might see it doesn't look so nice. It's just protecting it when I'm having it in the phone mode. And yeah, I really would like to have something that can replace this. But let's take a look at the winner of 2021. And here I'm contradicting myself a little bit with the intro that you saw before, because I didn't held it in my hand. I only saw pictures and I only saw reviews of other trusted reviewers. And that's the Huawei Mate X2. And why is it the best foldable, you might ask? Yeah, let's take a look at the runner-up, who is like the second place close behind it, and that's the Samsung Fold 3, simply because the Samsung Fold 3 doesn't make everything all right, like closing it without a gap. That's, I think, the Mate X2's kind of good point. Also, having a good front-facing display is something that the Mate X2 offers in contrast to the Fold 3, where we have like a weird, 25:9? I don't know, a very weird aspect ratio on the front with this left bezel that just looks out of place a little bit. And so just like with the Fold 1, the Fold 3 has the problem that the front-facing display is not the best, even though it has now 120 Hz refresh rate inside and outside. I think the Mate X2 in terms of design beats the Fold 3. Where the Fold 3 has an edge is of course the price, because they really reduced the price and made foldables a lot more affordable than the Mate X2, which is like even more expensive than the Mate X2, the Mate XS that I have here, that really was expensive for its time, and it's still pretty expensive. But over 3,000 euros for the Mate X2 is really, and these are importing prices, so probably have to pay a fee on top. It's just simply too expensive for me to getting hands on it. But I really, Huawei, if you're listening, please send me one over for testing, of course, only. The Mate X2 is really a great device. And I think also in terms of camera department, the Samsung Fold 3 is having some issues there, or is like dialing it a bit down, where the Mate X2 is not. It features the same as the Mate 40 Pro Plus in terms of camera setup. So you get a 10 times optical zoom, you get the IMX, 700, very large sensor. You get all the optical zoom, all the ultra wide angle, super cine lens. You get everything that you need. And you don't have this like trying to hide front facing camera here as well on the Mate X2, which is pretty nice. It is a bit thick, that's for sure, but it has a better battery life than the Samsung equivalent, and I think overall it has the best design. Hands down, this is the best foldable. Why I'm not talking about those Samsung Flip or flip phones in general, this is also a new category of flip phones, and here I have some honorable mentions. Of course, the Samsung Galaxy Flip 3. And then also, and because it was announced this year and technically it's already selling in China this year, the Huawei P50 Pocket, but I didn't have it in my hands, so this is why only an honorable mention for this category. So what do you think? What is the best foldable? I would say it is the Mate X2. with the runner-up, the Samsung Galaxy Fold, which is more affordable and of course more available in the global market. So this is probably the choice for you if you are looking for a foldable. Otherwise, just wait for the next year and see what will happen. Maybe the prices will go down a little bit. Honor has something up its sleeve where they want to introduce a new, what was it, V something? V has come to. Anyway, so it will be very interesting next year also in terms of foldable phones. Also flip phones are becoming a thing again. And that might be very exciting times ahead of us. And now we come to one of my favorite categories of this year, the best camera phone. And hands down, it was very, very hard to decide. I was waiting for this bad boy to arrive, the Sony Xperia Pro I, to really evaluate because it was a contender for the best camera phone, definitely. And it's very, very close, but I have to give it to the Huawei P50 Pro. Of all the tested devices, this one is that convinced me the most. Out of the box, photos, just snapshots, just look beautiful. It is really one of the best cameras that you can get currently on the market for taking photos and taking videos. Runner-ups are definitely, and it was a hard decision, the Xperia Pro I, because what Huawei is doing with computational photography on the P50, and keep in mind, they have so many limitations they have to work around. Not being able to get 5G is only one of them, but also not being able to get like all the best camera sensors is another of them. But somehow they managed to creep out, even of slightly worse sensors, the best photo image and video image in total currently in 2021. So this is why this is the best camera phone, definitely, because you can just take it out and take a photo. And best camera phone also means having good front-facing camera. So this one has a good front-facing camera that also offers autofocus, which is quite rare for a flagship even. And of course also 4K recording in video on the front and on the back is also very important. The only caveat I have with this is 4K 60 is not, or 60 frames per second 4K is not available on the ultra wide, which is a downgrade and a bummer, I would say. Here's something where Huawei should upgrade. Why isn't it another phone, so like the Xperia Pro I, which is close second here? Because what Huawei is doing with computational photography is amazing regarding the camera hardware and creating such good photos. And Sony is doing this is killing us basically with hardware. So instead of computational photography, Sony is concentrating on physical hardware, on larger sensor, on faster focusing system. And if I have to hands down choose between those two when it comes to sports and action shots, I would go for the Xperia Pro I, because this one has the faster shooting modes when it comes to frames per second, autofocus and auto exposure, which the P50 Pro cannot match, even if the P50 Pro now has a faster shooting option in the options as well. It is no match for the Xperia Pro I. So this comes close in second when it comes to shooting photos, or the best camera phone. And why not the iPhone? Why not the Pixel? Very good cameras as well, just not the best. I was testing the P50 Pro with almost all against the iPhone, against the Pixel, against all the other phones that I deemed worthy as an opponent for the P50 Pro, and always there was something lacking, either sharpness, either color, or a bit of like weird kind of video. I don't like iPhone video for some reason. I'm not sure what's up with the hype there. It looks like smeary to me always, but maybe my eyes are wrong, like someone said in the comments. But yeah, I like the P50 Pro as a camera phone, the best, snap, and everything looks okay, fine, and very good. So this is my camera phone of the year, the Huawei P50 Pro. But as I mentioned, the Xperia Pro I, and it impressed me so much that I thought I have to give it its own category. I have to make it a winner in one category as well. And as it's clearly not battery life, as it's clearly not the front-facing camera, as it's clearly not the speakers or the speed of the phone, it has to be something camera related. And therefore I created a new camera category, which is called Best Camera Experience that you can get on a phone. And this is a category for Xperia's. I have to say I'm an Xperia fanboy in this case, because I really like to take photos of this device or with this device. It is really, really cool to having a shutter button that you can half press to focus. You can really feel that the progress of taking a photo with a Sony Xperia device is really something else. You feel like it is like a camera. And also the camera user interface is very, very cool because everything is put on the side, so you can hold it with one hand, do all your settings, most of the settings that you need to do for taking a shot with one hand, and you have the other hand free and can do whatever you like to do, and you can half press, take the shot, change the exposure, change the ISO, change the values that you want to change. And yeah, why not one of the other Xperia phones like the One Mark III, which is much more affordable than this beast of a phone in terms of price, also a beast of this phone. It has simply a few features more, like the 1-inch type sensor, which gives you a little bit better bokeh, more low light capabilities, but also the aperture on the main lens is, I think, one of the reasons. One thing that is missing on the One Mark III to make it really my best camera experience. This is like really having a camera in your pocket, a very compact camera in your pocket, like an RX 100, without those zoom reach, definitely. So there is one point where the One Mark III definitely has a point, and especially the 5 Mark III, which has even better zoom capabilities in terms of sharpness of the zoom lenses. But this one overall is, I think, the one that got my attention most because of the better sensor, the better photos you can get out of it, the better raw capabilities that you have. So photo taking experience with the Xperia is something else. So this is why I created this category, and we will see if there will be runner-ups. I think runner-up for this year already is Vivo, which made lots and lots of progression, and I think they are also very, very good in taking photos, and the experience of taking a photo on a Vivo device is also pretty good. But that's all what I saw. That's not what I really used, so I have to evaluate what I use. And for me this year, with the shutter button, physical shutter button, physical video button is, I think, what makes the Xperia Pro I so special, and this is why the Xperia Pro I is the winner in this category. Let's come to the next category, Best Mid-Range Smartphone of the year 2021, and this is hands down the Xiaomi Poco F3. For the price, you get one of the best processors, almost like flagship grade. No, it is a flagship processor for around the 300 Euro-ish price range, which is just phenomenal. The cameras are like typical mid-range, the battery life is good, you get AMOLED screen, you get this fluid 120 Hz, you get stereo speakers. I think you even get a headphone jack, which is like super, super awesome for this price range. Hands down, the Poco F3 is the best. Runners up here is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, because what it's lacking in processing power, it is featuring in the camera department with a better camera setup and a better camera sensor. This is really also a good contender for the 300 euro price range. All others, just like honorable mentions, I would say. The Honor 50 and the Nova 9 are a bit too expensive. They also offer good cameras, but are not the best. In the next category, Best Camera Mid-Ranger, they also play a role, but also only as honorable mentions, because here the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro definitely has won. 108 megapixel sensor, very large sensor, very good for vlogging. You can use this for vlogging, I showed you already. It's a very good device, but it's not only the main sensor that is good, because here we also have a good main sensor, here we also have a good main sensor. No, it is about the whole camera setup. The 8 megapixel ultra wide, granted it's just like a normal mid-ranger ultra wide, but the 5 megapixel autofocus capable macro lens is really a lens that's not only there just to put another lens on, it is really a lens that is usable, and it's a bit better than just cropping into the main sensor to get some kind of macro capabilities. So this is why the Redmi Note 10 Pro is the winner in this category. And no, the runner-up is not the Honor 50 and is not the Nova 9, because they are too expensive. The runner-up is the Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite 5G or 11 Lite 5G NE, because they have the same camera system with slightly different processors, but very good processing capabilities. Don't take the 4G version, because this has a processor. This is more in this category here, and the processing is not as good, but the camera system is capable enough to keep up with the Redmi Note 10 Pro. It doesn't offer the good macro capability, and I think the ultra wide angle here and there might be struggling a little bit, and the main camera is not as good as on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. This is why it's the runner-up and not the main winner here in this category. So mid-range camera smartphones, which one is your favorite? Now we come to the best comeback this year, and I was struggling a little bit giving it to a whole company or just this phone. Best comeback smartphone of the year is the Honor 50. So I decided to give it to the Honor 50 because this is the device that's globally available on the market. Honor has lots of other devices they produced independently from Huawei. They created, they didn't really, this one was still designed in collaboration with Huawei. This is why it looks so similar. But this is a good comeback nevertheless. I would have even called it the best comeback ever if they would have released the device a little bit earlier. Now it's, I think, too late, and Honor will have it a little bit difficult next year, with Xiaomi now having also an update guarantee for the mid-range devices to keep up with them. But I think we are on a good way. They have like a good flagship device already, the Magic 3 series that will come out hopefully next year globally, that will keep up with all the good flagship devices of this year and then probably also of next year. And then also they have a foldable in the making that they will release hopefully also globally. So this will be very interesting to see. So comeback of this year is definitely the Honor brand and Honor 50 in particular. What do you think about Honor, and do you think it has deserved this comeback, or is another company did another company come back this year from like lousy kind of like values that they had before? I'm not sure. There's no runner-up in this category because I don't think there's anyone worthy of this category. So it's a category for Honor itself only. Then we come to a category that is arguably the most controversial, the best designed phone of 2021. And I give this award to the Oppo Find X3 Pro, because I'm showing the back here for a reason, because on the front it looks like almost every other phone. And yeah, it's pretty cool here with the hole punch and no notch and fingerprint reader and a super gorgeous 120 Hertz display. It feels pretty nice in the hand, but where every other contender eventually, like here the Honor 50 for example, slaps just camera bumps on top of this Redmi Note 10 Pro camera bump. The Google Pixel 6 maybe also contender, with the slight curve here, but plastic feeling and sharp edges here underneath and on the top. Not really the best in terms of design, I would say. The Oppo Find X3 just beats it with this integrated camera bump that is just not an afterthought, just slapped on top of the phone, but just to simply elegantly integrated into the back of the phone. This is why the Oppo Find X3 is definitely the best in design this year. Runner-up is the Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite. And it doesn't even matter if it's the 5G, 4G or the NE version, because all of them look the same. It is lightweight, it is slim, it has not this rounded edges design, but it has more like of a not curved but very edgy design with hard edges, but it feels so good in the hand. It feels so light, it feels so fresh and so slim that the feeling here in terms of design and the aesthetics, I think the feeling is a little bit also always plays a bigger role in the design as well, and this is what makes it so good. This is why it's the runner-up here in this category, and all the other ones are just honorable mentions. And now I'm simply done with the best of the best. We are now in the most categories. So most innovative smartphone for this year, and I had to put it in some category because we have to say goodbye to LG. And this is the LG Wing, and it's technically came out 2020, but it's still, I think, the most innovative design, the most innovative smartphone of 2021 still. This design no one cloned, no one copied, and it's so good, so well damn thought out. So you can watch your videos here on top, you can answer your comments here on the bottom, can do navigation on the top and do some comments or chatting on the bottom. It's really, really cool. Really glad they made such a nice design and such a great innovative phone without having like a normal foldable phone, but still have two screens here that you can use perfectly, that is stable, that doesn't have any like plastic kind of display. Two nice displays. And still holdable in one hand. I use this to run around like this and use the gimbal stabilization camera here, granted not physical but only digital gimbal stabilized camera, to film something. Very nice indeed. So LG, we will miss you in 2022 with your innovative, nice, interesting ideas that you're not always perfectionized, like what about this here, probably also known still, but you brought into life and you made it possible, and this is something that we will miss in 2022. LG, goodbye, and hopefully you're back someday. So now to the last category of this year, the most disappointing phone of this year, and it's a bit hard and probably also a bit controversial, because if you have a phone that you like and it lands on this most disappointing, don't be disappointed or angry. It's just like my disappointment that also has something to do with what I was expecting of a phone, for example, what my feelings of the phone are, so it's very subjective as well. I had a few on the list. I had the Xperia 10 Mark III on the list because not really an update to the 10 Mark II and the price raised. And I was saying also it's a bit slow or something like that was my initial impression. I had the phone, the price is too high, definitely. It is not as low and disappointing as I was expecting. And then maybe the Nova 8i. But this is also the only gripe I have with the Nova 8i was the price for the camera and for the processor. It felt snappy for a €200 device, but not €300. But the ultimate disappointment of this year is the Google Pixel 6. Not because of the price point, because this was okay, it was even under what I would expected for this device. But this one wants to be a flagship and is not a flagship. One thing is the camera. I don't like the camera output, the result that I get, the JPEGs. If I have a gloomy day, everything is blue, I want to capture this moment, this feeling I have of this day. And if the camera over sharpens the stuff, makes it everything yellowish and orange and brownish, then I get another feeling, not the one that I want to portrait. Of course, I can also use RAW, and in RAW, the main sensor does a phenomenal job. It's a good sensor, but the output of the JPEGs is what is a bit disappointing. Then the ultra-wide angle, I have some sharpness, unevenness. I saw it also on other reviewers, which is a bit of a bummer, I would say. So some quality issues on the hardware, and also on the software, sadly. I don't like Android 12 so much, but this is my personal gripe with Android. I don't like the Android 12 operating system. It's just too cartoonish for me. But you can tweak it. You can make it your own if you want to. The biggest gripe I have is the software stability. When I got the phone, plugging in USB-C, Google Files, copying stuff, my videos even to an SSD drive, not working. Sometimes I have a copy to, move to option, sometimes it's not there. And I cleared already the cache, I cleared the data, it's still an issue. And Google Files, I have this issue that I cannot get the permissions for my SSD to work. So allowing to access my SSD is not possible at all. Other file manager works fine. You can have workarounds, but like stuff you plug in USB-C hub or you unplug it and the phone just suddenly reboots or something like this is something what I would call, it's just a nitpick here and there, but all these little nitpicks make it that I don't like this phone. It's a disappointment of the year because Google software, Android, it should be their field of expertise, but it's not. It's a beta software, it feels like a bit. I will keep this Google Pixel 6, but it is my disappointment of the year, and probably could be your good phone because you don't have this issue, you don't have the gripes with the camera, then be happy with this phone, but it is my personal disappointment. I will keep it. I hope Google will update it in a certain amount of time. They will update, will fix all the issues and gripes I have, but for now it's my disappointment of the year. And this is basically everything for this video, everything for this year. I hope you enjoyed this little best of smartphones 2021. If you have your own personal list, you can write it down in the comment section. Otherwise, next year will be a bit different. Not so much smartphone reviews, more like gear that I already have, did not acquire new, and do some videos about that. And that is everything for this year. Everything for this year. Happy New Year, and until the next time, bye.